it's pretty crowded up there, right?
In the
Where
space
we are.
in the space that you're in, it is rapidly getting to the point where I think it will have to require either rolls or penalties or something in order to operate physically or to do things because
how big is the drop from those if we call it a dragon body, given the head down there, the drop from those little towers to the dragon body, how big is that?
Let's take a look.
Like in hectares.
Right.
I assume
I actually think of that vertical lift
of
that structure is fairly dramatic.
Yeah.
So therefore, I mean, the steps have to be there for a reason, right? Those are inclines. Those are steps, like Aztec pyramid steps. And the therefore the highest point, which I think is the knob to the left between the two staircases. I think that's the highest point
in the west. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm reading it correctly, is actually pretty high. I mean, that's a fatal fall to the left. And the and I think that if you were to go to the the furthest north staircase, and if you were to fall to the east, that you would take some very heavy hits as you went from level to level in those series of I already stated that and that's the way that Vefselk and Ferric had gone up, right? And so it is, you can actually go up. It's not made to keep people out, but you had to grab and pull yourself up, right? You didn't just step up those steps. You actually had to put some effort into getting up there. And so where you're at right now, which I think, unless you contradict me, my understanding is that you are actually in that first kind of depression to the east of that staircase. Between the two staircases in that corner, you're actually in that depression. So the staircase is actually up to the west, and the other staircase is up to the south. So you're actually in that spot. As far as how big this is, I am thinking of it as substantially big. The staircases are big enough for a person to walk easily, which means that, yes, if you have 5 individuals in that depression there, that it's gotten out of control, right? It's way, there's too many, if someone's going to lose an eye, right? If you start jumping around and swinging things and stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit, it's not exactly confined in the sense that you can't move and turn, but it is definitely a little bit more like being in a room where you're aware of the walls. There's potential to hit the walls whichever way you go. And the fall behind you, remember that Crixos and Listas have their backs to the far, to the wall. They have their backs to it. And as far as you're concerned, they a fall to behind you would be painful, would not be desired. Nobody wants that. So that's kind of the way I see it physically at the moment.
So basically they have their back to the wall. Where Selk is either to the left or right from them.
Well,
and
this is kind of interesting because
Farid is
let's review
trying to
what
get in
happened.
between.
Well, let's review this slightly because Ithasha is the first person to have met with him.
Yes.
And then in all of those interactions, I'm going to say that that Ferrith had come and joined her. So it's like the two of them and the two of you are more or less even with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Vefselk in Drake form had been following and accompanying Ferrith, and then, as Sam had described it, had become more and more agitated and had been looking for a place with a vantage point, and the only one that's really available. If you look at this very helpful map, you will see that that depression area has kind of a boulder to the north. Not the big one sticking way up at the top of the staircase, but kind of a boulder border.
Right, yeah, right? I see that.
And so when Sam had said that Vefselk was looking for a vantage point to strike, think of the drama of the Drake slithering up to the top of that and leaning down, looking threatening.
Okay, great.
So that's the image. Yeah. That was when we were talking last time. That's precisely it, and that's precisely when Crixos said, "Call off your monster." He's not an idiot. One look up to his left. He's like, "Excuse me."
He just can't express himself really good.
You know. So that's the physical circumstances, and as I conceive the situation, and as I must drag out my relevant papers, let's take a look at our situation for initiative, which is here. Oh, that's right. We rolled initiative.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And so does everyone have their number? They were way down there. They're like 3s and 4s and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got a 4.
I had 1.
Right.
I've got a 4, but I have to add something.
Right.
I haven't decided what, because I'm going to go last of all of us.
Based on your action. So, Sam, is your 4 taking your action into account?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any adjustment for a Drake.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah, for poison.
If it's the same as snakes, it isn't.
Right.
So you go before me.
Right.
Yeah, if I was using a bow, I think I would have to add like 5 to it or something. But, yeah.
I really like how non-belligerent you really are in this moment. Like, you know, we are still discussing what to do and not just saying, I'm attacking that guy and I'm going to...
actually, I was going to point out that we had a statement on the table that, as I understood it, was a statement of action and not a proposal for some kind of...
yeah.
Yeah, so I think I had said I was going to spit.
Oh, yes. And so now we just have to know what everybody else is doing and properly roll our initiative, which we have. And so the first person to go, once it, and I believe it is just clear what everybody is doing, to clarify to you, I believe I had also said that Crixos had positioned himself in front of Listes. As soon as Vefselk started acting aggressive, he started moving into more of a shielding position. And and remember that currently his sword is in its sheath.
Okay.
And so at the moment, I will tell you only one thing about his action, which is that he is not drawing his sword.
Okay, I have
of what Listes. So one last thing. The way you can see of Listes' action is that whatever it is she's doing, it involves grabbing Crixos. So, those are what you know. I'm sorry, Sam. Please proceed.
Yeah, I was wondering. So I'm picturing myself, kind of, if this was the rest of the group. Maybe I'm like around here in terms of like, and then the
You're
other
up.
people are around.
It makes
I'm
no
up,
sense
right?
that you're up and to
Okay.
the left of Crixos and to the right of Vefselk. I'm sorry, of Ethasha and Farith.
Okay. Now,
Because you're
in the
up
book,
on
it,
that
for the
pole.
blinds, right, for the blindsiding skill, because this is important, it says that I can use it. It doesn't require. I reread the description, and it says it doesn't require stealth, just that the enemy is not looking at me.
Correct.
So I was wondering, like, if Farith was to attack, like, I don't know what he's going to do, but if Farith was to attack Crixos, and then I was to spit at Crixos, would I get the blind side? Like,
Right. I
would
completely
that be
understand
a
you,
situation where I'd
but it seems to me as though, and I remember you were saying you were looking for a vantage point or some kind of blindsiding potential. But
Right,
given the
right.
geography and given the circumstances, it seems extremely unlikely that you would literally get out of his peripheral vision. And also, I mean,
Right.
from his point of view, who's the one character that he's going to be giving the most attention to
Right.
where on earth that thing is? And that would be you.
Right, yeah.
So
that makes a lot. Yeah, totally.
if you think of him as if you flip it and say you're the player character, I bet you as a player would say,
right,
what? Take my eyes off that thing? But,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely not.
there you
Yeah,
go.
okay, totally.
So,
Yeah.
So I recognized your character's attempts, but it really doesn't look that likely based on what you're seeing here. Okay, so that means the first person to go is Farith.
Just a clarification that Vathar is thinking of action doesn't mean we have to take action, right?
You don't have to do anything.
That's true, yeah.
I don't remember what was the last thing I've said. I think I mentioned I was trying to calm them down and try to, but I think that I also need to be accepted by these people, and if they are so hellbent on aggression, I'm not going to physically put myself between them.
Right. At last check, you had sheathed your sword. Crixos had sheathed his sword. And although he used the word half-breed, he didn't do it by spitting and snarling. To him, it seemed like an ordinary just way to talk. And so he was saying to you, all right, you know, he had moved into a more conversational mode at that point.
I did record these.
Everything about that pissed off the other two immensely. But that's
I think I'm more equipped to. I'm more used to that kind of slur used against me in the city. So probably, and I was thinking of using that, but I would probably just piss them off even more if I said that this is normal for us.
I don't think you guys have time for a
no, absolutely
a proper form of address. You know, sensitivity training committee meeting.
So I think I'm going to stick to body language, and I'm going to kind of take a step back and try to be as non-aggressive as possible, and look at Vepshelk. And I don't want to say that I'm pleading, because I'm not, but I'm going to give a very eloquent look, like please consider what you're doing. But I'm not going to step in the middle or do anything aggressive.
Okay. So so that's what you do. And then what does the next person, who is Vefselk, do?
Yeah, I think so. I'm trying to, in my head, I'm trying to think, would Vefselk spit poison at the, I don't remember her name. I only remember Crixos, but the woman that Crixos is defending. Because then, is Crixos really going to fight when this person he's trying to protect is poisoned? I feel like he would rush her away to
all of this is contained in the thought bubble of Vefselk, and the rest of us have no access to it whatsoever.
Exactly.
We appreciate what's in the thought bubble, and you sit waiting for your action.
Yeah, so fuck it. Like, yeah, she's going to spit at the woman who's being defended, because, like, yes, I won't explain it. Yeah. She's going to spit at her.
Okay,